The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
Welcome to the bonus show. Dave, China. It's China again. See, I was just telling Dave that why do I wear my headphones during the bonus show?
Yeah.
I don't need to. I'm not playing any clips. I don't really need to monitor anything. And now I feel completely naked.
The weird thing is I feel like you're talking more quietly now that you've
No.
taken the headphones off. It's
No,
bizarre.
I'm not. False. I'm just going to put them back on.
Yeah,
It just feels better.
I think it's a good idea.
I'm no longer naked. China is making bonus show headlines again. China has banned weird architecture. Up until now, China has been pretty well known for having all these outrageous buildings, and it kind of added to China's charm, if you believe that China has any charm. And
Which most people do.
yeah. Well, I mean the cities, these crazy, crazy cities. So I have pictures here of a lot of these crazy buildings. You've got this one that's kind of shaped like, I guess it would be shaped like the letter N, but it's got a kink in it, and it has a 90-degree angle there. You've got the gaming CEO who had his headquarters shaped like the Starship Enterprise, a building shaped like a wheel, a building, I don't know, all sorts of weird stuff. And see, I'm even calling it weird. China has also kind of called it weird, and they've banned this architecture. In 2013, and I covered this, the largest structure ever constructed was built there, a 1.7 million square meter mall, 18-floor mall. They are putting the kibosh on this, though, and I'm not sure why. Their explanation is kind of vague, but they state that there will be a greater emphasis on prefabricated buildings going forward. There will be a crackdown against designs or construction techniques it perceives to be wasteful, impractical, expensive, or aesthetically displeasing. And the document encourages the government to use satellites to monitor urban sprawl and make maps of new construction that can pinpoint anyone trying to break the new rules. That's
really,
very China.
really a lot of resources going into figuring out how people are building buildings. I'm totally against this. And, it's reminiscent of those communities, particularly like in the Southeast and in the Midwest and in the Southwest, where all the houses in the neighborhood have to look the same.
Yeah.
No lawn signs. Your grass has to be cut to a certain level, that type of thing. Taking that to a countrywide policy, it seems horrible.
Yeah, I do in some ways like when a town or neighborhood or city has certain regulations when it comes to that. And
But that's mostly zoning, right? It's like,
Zoning.
okay, in this neighborhood, you can't build above 4 stories. But generally, it's not. You have to. Everything has to look this particular way.
well, I find those neighborhoods where there's more, I don't know, when I don't want to say everything looks the same, but when there's more continuity,
Yeah.
I find that more aesthetically pleasing, as
Really?
opposed to when you go down the street and the colors are just out of control and the architecture is completely different and the materials are completely different. I find that jarring, and I don't like that. But hey, freedom. Do whatever you want with your house, I guess. So this is what China is doing. And I think this is part of the whole pollution thing, right? This emphasis on prefabricated buildings.
Right.
This, and if things are too impractical, wasteful, or expensive, I'm not sure how that helps. Maybe that does help with the pollution as well, because there's just more of everything going into these buildings. And anyway, I suppose that China's now iconic buildings will just be that much more iconic going forward,
Right.
because there won't be any more of them. So, all right, goodbye to China's nice buildings that were in the works. I'm sure there are many architects who are really pissed off right now.
Probably.
Really, really fucking pissed off, Dave. Okay, let's talk about space stuff. This isn't about spooky music that doesn't exist. This is real. And there is a galaxy that has been discovered that has some interesting features. It's a massive plume of gas measuring 300,000 light years across that is emanating from this galaxy. It's 5 times the length of the galaxy itself. This galaxy is moving very, very fast. It's about 55 million light years from our galaxy. And they, up until recently, couldn't explain why it contains less gas than it's supposed to. and the galaxy is moving at about 745 miles per second. Now, our galaxy is moving too. It's just not moving that fast.
Right.
And it's just, I think it's hard, even when I think about it, it's hard for me to grasp that. An entire galaxy moving at that speed. I mean, that's actually mind-boggling, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't. I mean, it's almost, you can read the numbers, but we can't really even conceive of it.
Yeah, it's incredible. And that's what's going on with that. I just find it hard to imagine. And our galaxy, I guess, is in fact on a collision course with another galaxy. And this is
The Andromeda Galaxy.
The Andromeda Galaxy. This is set to happen in how many billions of years?
4 billion years. I've been preparing for it. I don't know about
Yeah?
you. I mean, I don't think you can ever start too early.
How do you prepare for that?
I don't know. I guess you make a list.
You cook some lentils?
Yeah. What I read, which is amazing, is that even though it will be a collision, and even though there are countless stars within each of these galaxies, there is not expected to be any actual contact between any of the stars or bodies in the Milky Way galaxy and the Andromeda Galaxy, because even though they're so big and contain so many stars, let me say it a different way. Even though they each contain so many stars, they are so huge that they can still collide in a way that none of the stars each contains will realistically hit each other, which is, again, mind-boggling. Like, you can read that, but what does it even really mean?
That is fascinating. I'm sure it will still be an incredibly chaotic event. With
Fox News will be going crazy when it happens, I can assure you.
Let's hope Fox News isn't around in 4 billion years. I guess these two galaxies are moving towards each other at about, ours and Andromeda, at about 70 miles per second. So that's combined. So I'm not sure what speed we are moving at. But that's pretty interesting stuff. And it is really just hard to fathom the immenseness and the power and the size of all of this.
Right.
But certainly, to me, more interesting to think about than noise on a radio being interpreted as spooky space music. All right, let's get into this bail bondsman thing. So today,
Set it up first, though.
Okay, we had an interview with Alec Karakatsanis, who is he works. What does he do exactly?
He's a lawyer, but he's a big anti-bail bonds activist, and he talks about how the bail bonds industry is a huge scam. You have the bail bonds industry essentially unable to lose money because even when somebody doesn't come back for their court hearing, they have insurance anyway that pays back like 98% of the money, and they're lobbying for stricter pretrial detention so that there will be more people who need to go and get a bail bond, etc. I mean, it's completely documented that this is one of the most predatory industries out there.
That is right. And I guess when you get right down to it, if we had a better system in place, an industry that would not even need to exist.
Right.
Okay. So I go on Twitter this morning, and someone from Michael's Bail Bond has tweeted to me
In Newport News, Virginia.
About 4 times. I look at the page, has a few hundred followers. I look at the Facebook page, same deal. And the tweets were basically accusing me of being a racist for being critical of the bail bond industry. First of all, why aren't these tweets going to Dave? They're going to me.
I was CC'd on the first couple, but then you responded, and at that point, I was taken out of it.
Right, okay. And so accusing us, I say us, basically us, we did the piece, accusing us of being racist for being critical of the bail bond industry. Because the owner of this particular bail bond company is a minority.
And I think his argument is that there are lots of non-white owners of bail bond companies.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, but there were also some comments thrown in there along the lines of, we are keeping places safer. Right. We are helping people who are imprisoned, and yada, yada, yada.
You're lobbying to create the need to then go and help people get out of prison by arguing that bail should be really high and that it should apply to more crimes.
Yeah.
That's like saying, hey, listen, I go and I sell people water. I mean, yes, I completely polluted deliberately and cut off the water supply to the town, but then I'm right there selling people fresh, clean water. I mean, I'm helping these people. Well, yeah, you are, but you kind of caused the problem, didn't you?
Yeah. And so I think I didn't get into this. I tweeted once directly to this person.
Yeah.
And then I took some screenshots of the tweets and let everyone have at it. And I think if this person really cared about equality, they would probably be someone who is trying to ensure that there isn't a disproportionate amount of black people who need bail bonds.
Right. It's so interesting
you know?
to play the racism angle because he argues, and we don't know if this is true, that there are lots of non-white bail bonds business owners. The reality is that it's non-white people that are disproportionately the victims of these predatory bail bonds. They're victims of an unfair criminal justice system. So it's kind of ironic and doesn't make sense that he's approaching this from that angle. And by the way, he's doing a lot of the things that most of these sketchy bail bonds places do, which is promote with salacious pictures of scantily clad women in handcuffs saying, if you need bail bonds, call Michael's Bail Bonds, right? He's doing all this stuff where if the idea here is to help people, why do you even need to market in that way?
Yeah, it seems a little sleazy. So I went, okay, it takes me maybe half an hour to get to the studio. I get to the studio, I start working, I go back on Twitter, and there I see maybe 20 new tweets from whoever this is.
Yeah.
And they're just going berserk. And I'm not sure, if I look now, I'm sure there will be another exchange. And now they're starting to exchange with people that have commented on, it's this cascade effect.
When this happens to me on Twitter, and it's happened a few times, my Twitter @message stream becomes completely unusable because every minute there are 30 new messages that I'm somehow included in @replies. And I basically just have to get off of Twitter for a couple of days until it subsides. And it becomes a completely useless tool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't think there's any way to avoid that. That's just the nature of the beast when you have tens of thousands of followers. So what are you going to do?
Thank you for pointing that out. I like that.
What do you mean? Right.
I like that you're referencing that.
I'm referencing that you have tens of thousands of followers?
Right.
Why is that important?
Oh, no. I mean, you brought it up. You tell me.
Because that's why the problem exists that you're talking about.
Exactly.
Okay. I have less than 1,000 followers, so this isn't a huge problem for me.
Fewer than.
Fewer than. But I don't know how many. So could I say less than?
I don't think that's the grammar rule, Louis. No.
Okay. Fewer than 1,000. Excuse me. Thank you for correcting my English. Anyway, if this continues to escalate.
It won't.
Maybe it will.
Okay. I mean, I hope it does, but I doubt it will.
All right. Things could get completely crazy. You don't know.
Yeah.
Anything could happen, right? We'll follow it. And if you want to see this madness, just find me on Twitter and observe.
I did go on Yelp and Google just to see what the reviews were for this place.
Yeah.
There's like one Google review, and I don't think there's any Yelp reviews for it.
I mean, how frequently are people going on Yelp and Google and reviewing bail bonds?
The really big bail bonds businesses do have a ton of reviews online. It's weird.
I find that really surprising.
Yeah,
it just
odd.
doesn't seem like, oh, I'm going to take the time to review my bail bondsman.
I was arrested on DUI in an incident of complete shame to my entire circle of family and whatever, particularly after it was published in the paper. I needed a bail bondsman, and I went to Mike's Bail Bonds, and he really helped me out, and I would absolutely go back to him anytime.
I'm willing to bet that review from this place came from the bail bondsman himself.
There was one review, and the last name of the person who did the review was the same name as the guy who you were tweeting with.
Yeah. Shocking.
I think it was his wife.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see what happens with that. I will keep everyone abreast of the situation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.